It didn't look like a decline. There was no sudden collapse, no moment where everything clearly fell apart, just a slow shift, until one of the most gifted players in the world was no longer part of the conversation. And that's what made it confusing, because Mesut Ozil didn't lose his talent. He lost his place. At his peak, he saw the game differently. Passes others couldn't imagine, he delivered without thinking. Space didn't need to exist, he created it. At Real Madrid, he was essential. At Arsenal, he became the heartbeat. Everything flowed through him. But football was changing. The game became faster, more physical, more demanding without the ball. And suddenly, creativity alone wasn't enough. Because now, every player had to press, track back, fight for control. And that's where the tension began. Ozil didn't change. The game did. Managers wanted intensity. Systems demanded balance. And a player built on elegance started to feel like a problem. At first, it wasn't obvious. He still delivered moments, still created chances, but the space around him was shrinking, and so was his role. Then came the pressure from outside. Criticism grew louder. Questions about effort, commitment, identity. Because in football, perception can become reality, and once the narrative turns, it's hard to reverse it. Then it went deeper. Politics entered the story. Decisions were made that had nothing to do with football, but changed everything about it. Suddenly, he wasn't just a player being judged on performance. He was something more complicated, and that made his position even more fragile. Because now, it wasn't just about fitting into a system. It was about fitting into a narrative. And slowly, without a clear ending, he disappeared from the level he once controlled. Not because he couldn't play, but because the game around him no longer made space for him. And that's what makes this story different. It's not about failure. It's about misalignment. A player who stayed the same in a sport that refused to. Because sometimes you don't lose your ability. You lose the world that once needed it. And when that happens, even brilliance can fade without a single moment to explain it.